Welcome to Talent Hub Talk. I'm Ben Duncombe, and on this podcast, I will be interviewing prominent and inspirational figures from both the local ANZ and global Salesforce Ohana. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode where we focused in on the Salesforce hiring managers survey and the results that we had gathered from that. This week, I'm going to be focusing more on the candidate side. So we received a really high number of responses this year, which is amazing. So it's given us some really detailed insight into how different people are thinking. To give some context as well, we send individual links out to different skill sets. So we cover the kind of broad Salesforce job titles from kind of admins through to technical architects, including certified technical architects. We cover MuleSoft, Marketing Cloud, Pardot. So we have a really good range of responses, and then my colleague Gemma spends a lot of time breaking down those stats and looking at the details, and then putting together this survey. So really, really interesting insight this year. I think every year is interesting, but yeah, really, really excited to go through the details of what we found. So hopefully you may have checked out the survey already. If you haven't, then I recommend checking that out. It's on our website. We'll add a link in the show notes. So yeah, here we go, the candidate side of the survey. So the first thing that really jumps out to me from the survey this year is that only 2% of Salesforce professionals are currently in between roles or immediately available. Now, I believe this was 4% last year. So yeah, it's gone down from 4% being immediately available to 2%. Now, this is why it's so difficult for companies to attract like people on fixed term contracts, people on short term contracts. When I say fixed term contracts, I mean a salaried contract. So similar to a permanent role, but you have an end date. When companies come and they're looking for people on these kind of engagements, I explain, there are very few people that are immediately available or on the market ready to start a new role straight away. And it's great to have that stat to back it up now. So 2% of people are in between jobs or immediately available for a new role. Across the board, 21% of Salesforce candidates are currently contracting. Now, this is it's interesting because I think I spend a lot of my time, probably more than 20% of my time, speaking to Salesforce developers, and I think Salesforce developers. I'll cover this later, but a lot of people seem to want to be contractors. So seeing only 21% of people in contract roles currently, I probably expected that to be a bit higher, but I do expect this will grow year on year. And bear in mind that 21% is across the whole market. So, admins, developers, functional consultants, solution architects, MuleSoft, Marketing Cloud. So yeah, basically 1 in 5 people, or just over 1 in 5 people, are currently contracting or choose to contract for their current role, which, I guess is quite high. But based on the conversations I have daily, I would have thought that could have been slightly higher, and I think it will continue to grow. Only 13% of Salesforce professionals are planning to leave their current role in the next 6 months. So yeah, going to be really hard to attract talent. If people seem to be quite happy where they are, only 13% expect to leave in the next 6 months. So if you're looking to hire, you need to bear that in mind and make sure whatever you're looking for, and you're flexible, and you're you have your selling points of your role. You know what makes you different, and you know why someone would choose to work for you, because there aren't many people that are going to be moving around. 59% expect to be with their current employer for at least the next 12 months. And it's interesting to see that CTAs seem to be the most committed to their current role, with 86% of current Salesforce certified technical architects expecting to be with their current company this time next year. So we've actually seen some movement recently in the CTA space. We've seen some CTAs moving around, and yeah, it's not that frequent you see CTAs moving, and they seem to be quite embedded in their businesses. Some are running their own businesses, and they're often in senior positions with their consulting firms or working at Salesforce, and it can be quite difficult to get people to leave Salesforce because of things like stock options and the pay. So I'm not surprised to see that CTA is the market where we're expecting the least amount of turnover in the next 12 months. Work-life balance is the most important factor for Salesforce professionals when they're next looking to move between opportunities. So in previous years, candidates have been attracted to roles based on the fact that there was an interesting project. That's always been quite high up the list. But interestingly, 22% this year said that work-life balance was the main reason for accepting their current role. And 39% of people are saying this will be the key factor behind their next move. So they'll choose the role that gives the best work-life balance. 39% have said that, which is, quite high. As per a previous point, 21% of candidates are currently contracting. But the data that we have gathered says that 33% of candidates have said that they will prefer to contract when they next move job. So like I said, I expect that number to continue growing. That 21% every year I expect to grow higher because there is definitely more of a contract market every year. But it's really interesting to see that 33% of candidates would prefer a contract role over any other work type when they next move role. And the markets with the biggest desire to contract are business analysts and developers, which goes back to my point about developers. It definitely does seem that out of every developer conversation I have, half of the developers will be preferring a contract role. 39% of candidates would favor working for a private sector end user organization over any other company type. And Salesforce came second. So 22% of candidates say that they would prefer to work for Salesforce directly over any other company. So when we ask this question, we have things like government, not-for-profits in there as well. ISVs as well. And actually, interestingly, this year, 11% of people said they would most like to work for a not-for-profit, which is up more than any other year. I think last year was 3%. So that's really interesting. Maybe what everyone's been through over the last couple of years, maybe they want to work for a cause they believe in and have a tie to doing some good working for a not-for-profit. 27% of Salesforce developers in ANZ are contacted more than 9 times per month about new opportunities. Absolutely no surprise to me. I think this is definitely the busiest market of all in terms of volume of opportunities, over 1 in 4 developers are contacted at least 9 times per month. Across all of the skill sets, 53% of candidates are contacted at least 4 times per month about new roles. So it's great to see that the market is still buoyant and people are getting actively engaged about new challenges and new opportunities. This year, we asked Salesforce Certified Technical Architects which skill set they feel is most lacking of quality resources in the region. And 29% said that the developer skill set is the area that we're most lacking in quality resources. But an equal amount said that we're lacking across all skill sets. So I think it goes to show that the opinion from Certified Technical Architects is that there's definitely room for more quality candidates, more quality resources in the ANZ Salesforce market. 86% of Salesforce professionals said that they would not move roles unless they were securing a pay rise. So 37% of those said that they would be expecting at least a 20% pay rise. And quite interesting to know that 76% of candidates in ANZ in the Salesforce market received a pay rise in the last 12 months, with 44% saying that they were able to achieve that pay rise without moving jobs. So obviously, companies have been really focusing on retaining their staff through these difficult times where there's so much opportunity. So it's interesting to see that 44% achieved a pay rise by staying in their current company and being rewarded for their good work and loyalty. But that's really interesting to know. 37% would want a 20% pay rise or more if they were to move jobs. We've seen salaries go up and up and up, but I do feel that they're getting to a point where they can't continue to rise at the same rate they have been. I was expecting the salaries to flatten out a bit, and I think we have seen that this year. I don't think they've gone backwards, but I don't think they're growing as much as they were last year. So it's interesting to see that people are expecting such a big pay rise if they're going to move jobs. Last year, we really did see a lot of demand in the marketing cloud space, and it was actually in our survey last year's survey 2021 when we asked Salesforce hiring managers which product or skill set did they expect to see the most growth. Marketing cloud was the answer, and I do feel like we saw a lot of growth in that area. But it's really interesting to know that 42% of marketing cloud specialists that responded to the survey have said that they would consider a role outside of the Salesforce ecosystem, which I'm really hopeful doesn't kind of eventuate, and that they don't follow through on that, because it's already hard enough to find good quality Salesforce Marketing Cloud specialists at kind of all levels and all skill sets. 46% of Salesforce developers class themselves at lead level, which explains why it's so difficult to find anyone that will take a mid-level role. It seems that people go from junior to senior very, very quickly. And only 38% of Salesforce developers would class themselves as a full stack developer, which is surprisingly low based on the conversations I have with developers. I feel that most developers I speak to would say that they can do front and back end and everything in between. So yeah, I think that has been surprising to see that only 38% would say that they're full stack. 45% of Salesforce administrators would consider themselves to be intermediate level with flows. Now, I think this is it's interesting, because I think a lot of people that are coming into the market and looking to get their first Salesforce role, it really is a level playing field. If you can get up to speed with flows quickly, then yeah, you can really push on and gain a lot of opportunities, because, like it says, 45% of Salesforce admins would consider themselves to be intermediate. So there aren't that many people out there that would class themselves to be expert, bearing in mind, obviously, the other options were expert and junior. So, I think there's a good opportunity for people to really focus in on flows and really prove themselves and gain a lot of market traction and opportunities if they can really nail flows and catch up with the people that are claiming to be intermediate at the moment. We asked CTAs what the biggest benefit of passing the review board for them was, and it was a split between gaining greater credibility in their current organization and then also achieving more influence in the company. So 57% of CTAs have continued to sit further Salesforce certifications out of choice since passing the review board, and others have done so because their company expects them to. Of the non-certified technical architects that actually have a goal of becoming a CTA, 16% think that they can achieve that in the next 12 months. And the others that also have the goal of becoming a CTA, 22% feel it could take 2 or more years. And it was interesting to know that only 31% of all of the architects that we surveyed that don't already have the CTA certification, only 31% said that they don't have that as a goal. So it's obviously still a massive lure for architects. I think there's a lot more help out there. You've got companies like Flow Republic, you've got study groups as well. So yeah, it's really interesting that that there is more opportunity to learn and to collaborate with people globally in your goal to being a CTA. So it'll be interesting to see how many of those 16% do achieve it this year, and hopefully more, because obviously the more in the region, the better. 23% of Salesforce professionals would prefer a fully remote role, which is again, based on my conversations, I would say, people do like that hybrid model, which kind of aligns to the fact that 33% would like to go to the office 2 days a week. I think people do like the option of an office in most cases, more so than not. There are obviously a good number of people that do want to be fully remote. I think if you don't have an office at all as a company, it can be a bit off-putting for some candidates who want to go to an office occasionally. But yeah, we are seeing more and more people wanting that kind of remote model, and we're seeing more and more companies kind of opening their requirements up to ANZ as a whole, or Australia, all of Australia, or all of New Zealand. So yeah, I think we'll see that kind of continue to rise over the years. And a nice stat to finish off on: 71% of Salesforce admins said the adoption in their current or last role is or was high. So that's great to see, because I think adoption has been a big challenge for companies over the years. But it's great to see that that's going in the right direction, and that people feel that adoption levels have been high, and 71% is obviously a decent number. So yeah, some really interesting insight. As I said last week, I'd love to hear your views. I'd love to answer any questions you have, or explore any of the findings in detail with you. So if there are any questions you have, please do reach out, and I'd love to discuss. Thank you for listening to another episode of Talent Hub Talk. If you're enjoying the podcast, we'd love it if you could subscribe and also leave a short review. We're keen for this podcast to reach as many people in the Salesforce ecosystem as possible, and your reviews will help us do that.